So we goes, well, who would you call out of history and why? I said, I'd call Colin Mate just to tell her I love him. Okay. Hi, I'm Michael El-Bacha. I'm here with Steph for the Good News Project. Not really, because I was very lucky to be part of, the normal childhood where I played sports. So I hid a lot behind sports activities. I was a sportsman, just like my brothers. And it's never stopped them from including me into as their childhood as well. Even though I was a little reserved, I was always a bit different to my brothers who were into fast cars, hot chicks. I was Mum's favourite, and I still believe I am still Mum's favourite, even though she denies to say that these days, but she's always said that I was her favourite. I was always the one that stayed home and helped Mum. So maybe that is a bit different to what my brothers did. But
you never felt different at that time?
No, I didn't, but I felt like I was a little bit more perhaps trapped, as opposed to my brothers were allowed to do a lot more things than I was. So, having said that, that's anything that I would felt different at that time. I always believe that mums always know, and as that's a fact, I just think because Mum's second eldest, and she was made to look after her brothers and sisters, but she didn't have the education. Whereas I was the second eldest, it's weird, and I was still made to have an education, even though, I was the girl she hadn't had at the time.
Yeah.
And that's the bond that I have with my mum, that I'll always have with my mum. I think I've turned into my mum. Well, I never really thought about myself as a gay guy. Even though I had the thoughts of men going through my mind, I really fought those thoughts. I tried to anyway. They kept looming. However, growing up, because I was a sporty, I hid behind men's activities, and I did have those thoughts come into my mind, and I would knock myself about not supposed to be thinking these things. And I remember a boy at school, high school, Shannon Kappa. I love you, Shannon, I'm sorry, but because everyone else picked on him, I felt like I was also to pick on him. And I remember pushing him, which was completely insane. And I'm really sorry about that, Shannon, but just to fit in with the society, and it's that whole manly thing. But I never really had people pick on me growing up because I had the brothers that backed me up in the sports that I did. They must have sensed I was different, but I never really had the homophobia side of it. So I was very lucky. Well, I was the really softy of the brothers, and I was always Mum's helper. So, 14, I was such a good cook. I was I don't know, somehow pulling these culinary dishes out of, I don't know where they're from, but my brothers preferred my spaghetti against Mum's, for example. But at 19, I believe they whisked me off to Lebanon because they knew that I was different. Mums always know, and I'm a big firm believer in that, and hence why I was her right hand. They whisked me off to Lebanon to get to know my cousin. Before I had the chance to experiment and be able to know or learn who I really was. So that's how they sent me overseas to get married. Before I had the opportunity to experiment sexually, and I was a virgin at that time, so it was very hard. Since I was little, she was about 6 or 7, they were belittling in my head that I would get married to my fufu, which is my cousin. So when I was 19, and I was whisked off to Lebanon, and it was to get to know my cousin, fufu. So it's like, okay, well, you know, I knew that my destiny was to wed, unfortunately, but still having had the chance to experiment sexually, it affected me in such a way that, you know, I really didn't know who I was at the time. It just made it more harder for me to accept who I really was. And I did try to fight the fact that I was into men, because that wasn't the way that I was brought up, all my religious background, to believe. So it just made it a bit more harder for me to have to go through that, into marrying my first cousin and trying to sleep with her, and all that was a very difficult time of my life. It was the most difficult time of my life, but it affected me in ways that I completely had a nervous breakdown. It was really later on, because she was my first.
So at that point, you were just trying to get yourself to be as normal as possible. And
just try, hopefully, and fight the thoughts that they would go away. And maybe if I was married, everything would be okay. And that was really hard, because I wasn't being true to myself, and I had no idea. I still hadn't experienced anything with a bloke anyway. So she was my first, and it's one of those things where I just, to be frankly honest with you, I just couldn't get it up, and it's really hard. So, and it didn't affect me it's just the pressure, and 19, and it was really hard. So it's so sad that you know, this has happened to me, for example. See, the way they see it, the family, and different families marry different for different reasons. For example, they keep it in the, so to speak, keep it in the family, the bloodlines. And you know, when I married my first cousin, I know I completely was like baffled as to why I'd marry a first cousin, whereas my parents married for love, and they eloped at the beginning of my story. Now they reckon that if you marry your cousin, the respect for your in-laws is already present. So in that form, they keeps you tied up, and it's a longer marriage, for example. Now, for people who live miserable lives, I mean, you marry for love, and that's what I know. But unfortunately, for my parents, for example, or Lebanese in general, they believe that truly that love comes after marriage, or that way, if you marry someone from over there, you're going to live a longer, sustainable marriage, as opposed to marrying someone from here. And unfortunately, that's just the way they've been brought up. And I don't think it's fair at all to take somebody over there and marry them against their own will, especially being 19 and naive and having no one there to support you, and brainwashing. It seemed, in my case at the time, even though it was arranged, it was kind of forced. But I'd hate to be using the word forced, because no one put a gun in my head and forced me to marry somebody. It was more like I was brainwashed into believing everything would be okay, and I had no one there to tell me otherwise. But I think it's a little bit unfair, and I think you should really stand up for yourself in terms of, if someone's taking overseas to marry you against your own will, you've got every right not to go and do it. And there is, hopefully there'll be some help there. I think we can, I know in England they've got a helpline, like a special phone number they can call, and if they were forced into a marriage, I think we should implement something like that in our system here in Australia, having a telephone line just to know people, it's out there if you are being forced into it, and have an educational understanding of the, the things that do happen if you do force. Like, in my situation where I've suffered a nervous breakdown, I like to also appeal to those to go onto my blog and to go to my forum and be able to assist those individuals and the families even. But I would really like to see a telephone, just some centre that you can call through and have any issues or problems, especially with the community, just to be able to call for help and guidance. I think that's very, very important, and I think we need that in Australia. I really do. You know what? Sometimes it's so hard to I know there is. I know I did a forced marriage probe investigation on Channel 10 not long ago, and I know for a fact that there is laws coming in, 7 years imprisonment if you're caught forcing or arranging a marriage, and that is something that really needs to be stamped, and it's going through obviously the court procedures as we speak through the law system. I would never, though, ring my family and say, they're forcing me into marriage, 7 years imprisonment. I'm sure there is other ways that we can help those families or those individuals before it gets to that level. But it is a criminal conviction to actually, force a marriage, as far as I'm concerned. Force, arranged, whatever it is, it's very, there's a fine line between those two. So, I would definitely have a criminal law come in. However, families need to be educated. They cannot do that, and it's not their fault. It's just the way they've been brought up. It's their background, and they think it's okay, but it's not. Well, when I really found out that who I was truly the person that I was, that sounds a bit really sad, but what happened was I ran away. I had to leave my infant and my ex-wife, and I had to run away and find out who I truly was. And the way I did that and the way I felt was I went into a men's sauna. It was disgusting. And it was feral. So obviously nothing in that place really turned me on. However, I did eventually go into a room, and it was at that time when another man touched me. I felt aroused without envisaging other thoughts in my head, and that was truly the moment I knew I was irrefutably gay. So with my ex-wife, I couldn't get it up, sorry. If I was honest, I couldn't get it up so she could touch me. I just had to think of men the whole time to get aroused, as that's the only way that I can, get it somehow excited. It was a sense of, to me, I wouldn't say I was freaked out because I was trying to fight it all these years, but I knew at that time that was it. It was a closure from the ex-wife, and it was something that I had to really deal with. It was hard, but it was definitely closure. That's who I was. After fighting it for so many years, that was the point. There was a closure. That's who I am. However, I didn't deal with it. I had to deal with it then, but it was who I was. That was the next phase. With the gay scene, now there is a typical stereotyping of a gay scene that we take drugs and that we're just gay, we just want to just ruin everything and everybody. Now, I have to say, I disagree with that. The gay scene to me, in my experience, is that they become my family. I'm accepted for my warts and all, okay? They are the only people that actually understood me at the time when I took off from my own family that didn't understand or accept me. So I ran off and they became my family. Now, there was a lot of sex, drugs, and a lot of play on the scene, which brought up a whole new world. However, I met some of my best friends, girls, gays, straight, who actually accepted me for everything that I was. So I wasn't running away all of a sudden. I was actually in this room, in this community where we're all the same, vying for acceptance in the outside world, and we were there to comfort each other. And the girls that we met on the scene, they used to call them fag hags. Well, to me, they're my handbag. They're my necessity. I'll never leave home without them. And then we forged the most amazing relationship, friendship, that you only want to forge with a lover, so that we can talk about anything and everything. Which will, girlfriends will be going to the bathroom in front of me, and be like, oh, okay, ooh, you know what I mean? It's like, it's such a beautiful relationship, unconditional, and it's love, and the community is all about acceptance from the outside world. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in that community, in the gay scene, that happens for us to be able to accept who we are in the outside world. It's a big, the community is the most amazing thing. I love my gay community, and they've accepted me. They've accepted my story. I was very fortunate to be part of the Mardi Gras festival at this year's Mardi Gras, and and that's who my story is ultimately for as well. I just want to say, whatever people say in the papers or in the news about the gay community or whatever it is, it's not like that at all. It's one of those things where, like, there'll be some of the family members will understand it and accept it. Let's just say majority won't understand it or accept it. It's their upbringing, it's their culture, it's the value, it's what people say around them that really affects them most importantly. I don't think they really care too much if you were or not. It's just what people say. And unfortunately, that's how the Lebanese culture is always like, oh, they're talking about you, which I couldn't care less. However, having said that, I think it's very important for the family to understand at least some of it. To me, my personal experience, I would say I'm happy today only because they love me. That's all I can ask for. They may not accept me, or they might not understand everything about my life because of their cultural upbringing or who they are, the religious backgrounds, it goes on and on. But they love me, and that's all I can ask for, really. And it's just basically, it's the way we react to small-minded people that will actually ultimately set us free. And I say that with all honesty, and I love my family, and I don't really, if they understand it or not, to me, end of the day, it doesn't really matter. As long as they love me, and that's it. And I would love to educate them, and I'll still try to educate them, but there's only a limit to what I can do. Then I've got to move on to bigger, better things for me, if it makes sense. At the time, I basically had no one. And unfortunately, when I say I had no one, I was living in the city at the time, and I had been heartbroken. But the love of my life was the only person that I really had. I was out of touch with my family, and I felt that I was a faggot father. Sorry to say, as far as I was upbringing, I was a faggot father, that I was ashamed to tell my son that I was gay. And it's one of those things where I had lost everything and everyone, and I was lonely, so it took me a long time to talk about it, but I went to kill myself, and it was a really text message from my son that ultimately saves my life. It's those 5 words: I love you too, Dad. and he knows that he saved my life, and it's been a long time before I would usually swell up with tears and talking about it, but I am much more comfortable now to say it was a moment where the worst day of my life also becomes the best day of my life. And it was me telling my son that I am gay that ultimately set me free. I love him, but if you're watching, I love you always. But I just want to say it's a horrible moment, and I was depressed, and depression is a killer, and it was the darkest moment of my life, and it also becomes the best day of my life, because that is when, oh my God, I'm alright, came into fruition. I think we really need to focus on the communities, in different cultural communities, we need to be able to say, hey, there is help out there. You're not lonely. You're not going through this yourself. There's a lot of people out there that are going through it as well. And if we can just reach out for those people and it can save a life, ultimately, that'll set them free. And my blog is one thing that I'm doing. Once you go into my forum at ohmygodimalright.blogspot.com, there is a forum out there for me to moderate along with my son, and you can talk about anything and everything to anyone, and there will be obviously some help there. That's one of many. That there is other help out there, which is if you go onto the www.mardigras.org, whatever it is, onto the website, there is help out there. There's helpline, which is depression. So there is phone numbers that you can speak to people. Just remember, you're not alone. You're never alone, and you don't have to commit suicide. If you're depressed, and sometimes you don't know you're depressed, but just please get some help, and you will be okay. If I can do it, I'm sure they can do it, because I was there too. But look at me now. I've come a full circle, so I'm there.
And how about the people who say it doesn't get better?
No, it does get better. Never give up. And that's one thing I've learned, to never give up. I could be completely down one day. I know if I've been through all this, I'm going to be okay. Same to them. They've got to remember they'll be okay. I've learned also, when I'm so down, I always take a nap. Do things that I want to do that makes me happy. And just always remember, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And never be ashamed of who you are. You need to be true to yourself, and you need to love. And no one should judge you. And I'm sure everybody will come around, no matter how the situation. Always remember, you're human. You're no less than anybody else around you.
I think that people also need to remember that once you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up.
To the top. And I can tell you that, I've been there, and who would have told you many years ago that I would be writing a book? I had no dreams. I had no desire. I was a faggot, apparently, father. Now I'm a proud father. I'm gay and I'm proud. I've got a story to share, and I can relate, and I'm very comfortable. So if I was down there, and look at me today, I'm a prime example. I hope to inspire you.
And I think people do also need to realise that, sure, it might not get better today or tomorrow or next week, but it will get better. And you just have to stick in there, and hopefully you find someone who can help you through the storm.
Yes, exactly right. And depression, and being depressed now, you feel like the doors are closed, but let me tell you the stages, and you will get better. You just need to know that there is help out there. Okay, and I'm willing to help you. If you never need anything, I'm there. I'll come to you personally to help you. And I mean that from the heart.
I think I should edit like a superhero thing on you right now.
Well, I'm there. I'll do anything I need to do to help you, and I love to be able to there and sit with you and help. So. I just think that you know, the only way that you do that is by getting out there to the community, to the public, to the parents, to schools. I think I would love to be that link between the communities, and I'm not ashamed to stand up in front of them and say, hey guys, I am gay, it's okay. I think we need a bit more educational with the families, not just the kids growing up, just to understand that it's okay if they're gay. It's not the end of the world, and this is how it's always been. Now, unfortunately, I know overseas, in back in the Lebanon days or whatever, that they still marry and they'll do what they got to do, and then they met up at a certain time, at 7 o'clock or whatever it is, and they do what they got to do, then they go back to their life. I mean, what kind of life is that? I mean, the whole homosexuality has been there for years and years and years. Back in the day, we're talking about back in the 1800s or whatever it is, there was gay over there and they were accepted. And they were allowed to marry, but they had to. They were married. They had to marry, but they were also allowed to have their boyfriends on the side. The reason why they had to marry was to breed. Okay, now this was years and years and hundreds of years ago. What's changed today? So homosexuality has always been there, and unfortunately, with the religious backgrounds, that's also a very tricky thing. But there's gays everywhere. It's always been there. They need to accept that we're born this way, and you know, I'd love to be able to also have some kind of a telephone number again with the communities growing up. Ring this number, talk to somebody. It's really important because it will ultimately save lives. And my blog is another example. So
yeah, it's surprising how through time it's actually gone backwards and not forwards.
First and foremost, remember, you're not alone. You have others that are going through exactly what you're going through. Okay, now it's up to you whether you want to live that pretend life and marry to please your family or your cultural or your religious background, or you can be free like me today and just stand up for who you really are. Because at the end of the day, your family is your family. They will love you no matter what. They might not accept you, but we don't need full acceptance. As long as they love you, and you will live a freer and beautiful life, no matter what, because you're true to who you are. It's very, very important to stay true to yourself. I did. I felt miserable. I felt gutted the way I was treating my ex-wife. She's an amazing mother. Don't have to mention her name. She doesn't like me to mention her name. She was an amazing mother, and I'm sad, and I'm saddened that she had to come through this journey with me, and the way I was treating her, and you know, by pushing her away physically and mentally, emotionally, and I'm gutted. I'm the opposite. I'm the loving. I'm the touching, and I'm the opposite person, and you know, I didn't have to live that. I didn't have to live that life. I didn't have to be forced into that sort of life, and that is one thing that I treated her so disgusting is the word, but it was out of my hands. And if you want to live that life or live that lie, this is the life that you will be living, because it's against your own will and your hearts and so forth. So basically, by being true to myself, at the end of the day, ultimately set me free. And she didn't have to be treated like that anymore, you know? And my soul just was free. I was who I was. And it's a big change from that to that. It's amazing. You need to stay true to yourself. And I'm glad I did. I would not regret my life one little bit. I'm just glad that I went through what I went through, and I'm glad that I came out unscarred. I'm happy doing the media circuit. Where I am now is just to get my story out there, really try to get as many people to understand the whole homosexuality, especially with my community. I really need to save a life, and I know if I could save a life with this, that will ultimately be my dream. As long as I can reach one soul, and I know it will reach out there, and it's so important for me to get out there and talking with the communities, with the help, with actual charities. It's about, for me, giving back, and that's all I'm doing with my story, and everything else is a bonus. So I'm really out there. I'm your support. I'm the support group of the gay network. Whoever you are, I'm there. And it's about me giving back, because that is so important to me. I'm that person that if I help somebody, my heart just opens up like, oh, I've always been someone to help anyone, no matter the situation. Put that smile back on the face. That's really important. That's where I am. Oh my God, am I right? Don't do it, Michael, don't do it. I wish I had someone else there to support me through the brainwashing when I was over in Lebanon. The only thing is, everyone was going, go to do. So I had no one to say, no, Michael, snap out of it, bang. And I can't forget the fact that I was fighting it in my head. So I thought, no, I'm not. So, because I was a virgin at the time, I hadn't experienced anything with, she was my first. So I just wish I had someone else there to tell me, Michael, you're okay. It's okay to be gay. It's okay, don't fight it. I never had that person to help me, but that's why it's important for me to help them. Now I'm getting emotional. It's very important for me to help them. So, I got tears in my eyes. That's all right. So yeah, I wish I had someone else. I'm very comfortable. This is who I am. God put me on this earth for a reason, and that purpose is to help others, and that's what I truly believe. It's about me giving back. Oh yeah. Right? They might not fully accept it yet. However, they'll come around, and it takes time for them to come around. It takes time for an educational understanding of homosexuality. It's something that they've never really wanted to believe in, but now they have a son, they will understand it, and they'll have accepted it as we progress. But they still ask me to get married. I'm like, I'm going to marry my son now, he's 18. So it's one of those things that it takes time. And I don't really need them to fully accept me, but to love me and accept that I am homosexuality. I want to get married again. Big time. Big time, yes. Because especially my son, telling him that I was gay and him accepting it has actually set my soul free. That was the most important part, that I needed to tell my son that I was gay. And that's how the book ends. But I won't say what he said. But by me telling him, he was the most important person in my life, and it still is, that I was gay, it set me free. My soul is smiling, because that was so important for me. And now that my family's accepting, slowly, to a certain degree. I don't fully expect them to accept the fact that I'm completely going to get married tomorrow and I'm going to have this big wedding, Lebo wedding with another gay guy. I can't, that's just a little bit, it's unrealistic. But for them to accept me for who I am, and the fact that I am gay, and this is the fact that I have this book out, it took them a long time for them to accept that. And now it's finally out, and my son's finally there with it and supportive of me. I couldn't ask for a better outcome, really. I'm blessed. I don't think I had a chance to come out any earlier, to be honest, because I had that connection with my family. I ran away for years. I lived in the city for years. I travelled the world. for years with my ex, and until my ex broke my heart, that is when I went through depression and that suicidal moment. And that was when that suicidal moment brought me back home. And to be honest, and you know, cheers to my family, because really my depression was that bad that I did go through that dark moment, but it was my family that actually helped me through the depression. It was that love, that unconditional love, loving support, no matter who I was, which helped me come out in the process. So I believe everything happens for a reason. As corny as it sounds, I was meant to go through what I went through to be where I am today, and to watch my nieces and nephews grow, to build stronger relationships with the people that mean the most to me on this earth, and to learn the lessons I was meant to learn. Tony Abbott needs to really grow up, for starters, and as much as I say that, I mean, his sister's gay, and she even thinks that her brother's a bit funny about not letting. I have to say Tony Abbott needs to actually maybe go back in history. I know that he was a priest, ex-priest he was, but he needs to go back in history and understand that homosexuality is not a disease, and it's always been there. And he might need to even read the New Testament that doesn't mention anything about being, gay being wrong, and then hopefully to learn that it's okay. And I have to say, is Tony Abbott, all respect to him, but he needs to really get the gay marriage happening, because, my word, backwards. This country is backwards. If New Zealand can accept it, I'm sure Australia can. Seriously, come on, Tony Abbott. And full respect, but come on. Gay is cool. Gay is normal. Hetero is normal. Bisexuality is normal. Okay, so it's all cool. We're all human beings, and he needs to accept that. It has distanced me from my God to a certain extent. It has, but I believe in God, and I also believe that He doesn't want me to live a tormented life, and I will not accept standard double ridicule of good Catholics that yet judge you for for who you are. And this is not the word of the Lord. My sexuality is always between me and my God. So I don't go too much into it, but I believe in God and He's almighty, but I don't think He put me on this earth for a reason. And this is why He's put me on this earth for a reason. To be able to help others. Yeah, basically, I was very fortunate to be part of the festival this year, and I did a talk, as part of Queer Thinking, at the Seymour Centre. And it was a very emotional time, actually. I think I let my emotions take over a little bit because I had a bit of a fight with one of my brothers. It was one of those things that the emotions took over. However, it was such a surreal moment, and it was very important for me to be part of the community that accepted me, and part of the community that actually I wanted to give back to. And a lot of gay within the community are Lebanese background, and it was very important for them to understand where I was coming from my religious and from a cultural background with my story. So I think in a way it helped them. So it's part of me giving back to my own community, who've always accepted me, who've always backed me up, and Sydney Mardi Gras also, as far as I know, they came to my book launch, which is amazing. And so it was for me to give back to the community was something that I really owe, and I still look forward to working with them down the track as well. So it's really, really, I love them. It's my gay community is my family. Yeah. Kylie, yeah, my queen.
Let's talk about Kylie.
This is Kylie. This is. I'd love to give this tree to Kylie. Okay, now Kylie Minogue, she's been my princess.
How she helped you? How she impacted you?
Now she's my inspiration. She's been through a lot personally, through cancer. She's come out fighting on the other end. She has helped me in so many ways. If I'm feeling down, when I was actually depressed, I'd be crying, and lonely, and then it's only me and Kylie, and it was like I put on the videos, the concerts. She'd help me mentally to be Mikey again, and she just makes me smile, makes my heart. It's really, she's been there for me through thick and thin, and you know, she went through cancer and she's come out the other end. She was, and I've been through the, you know, rough times and come out the other end. So I feel like there's a connection of, it's so deep, and she's gorgeous and she's beautiful and she's always smiling, and that's a connection that I see with her. I'm usually all bubbly and stuff. When something's wrong, you can tell, Mikey, something's wrong, what's wrong with you? No, nothing's wrong. I'm not usually myself, so, because I'm so, yeah, she's such a beautiful soul, and she's always been a proud Australian. I'm always a proud Australian. And she's like, we connect on so many levels, and she's helped me through a lot, and I love her, and just wanted to say I'm proud of her. Love you, Kylie, marry me. Oh, yeah, do you want to see it?
Yes, can I see it? I thought it was.
Do you want to see it?
I thought I was going to have to beg for it.
Okay. Oh, let me take off this. I've got St. George on. I don't want to St. George. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this. There we are. Can you see? It's a star. It's a star. Okay, entwined. And that was just to show how much I love her, really. Got a tattoo of Buddy as well. No, I think I've really, I had to share my story. Oh my God, I'm right, just the way it is. I had to genuinely tell it, and I had to say it the way it is, because if I had held back on any piece of information, I would not want to do it. I would not want to have a biography or a memoir. So I really need to tell the way it is. As much as it sounds like I might be offending anybody or everybody, or my family and that, it's not at all. I needed to say it the way it really was, otherwise I wouldn't do it. So I don't regret anything. The book is just perfect. It's a memoir. So yeah, I don't regret. I just say it the way it is. And it's nothing but truth, nothing generally told and honestly told, because that is the way it was and it is. So who knows, it could be Oh My God, Am I Right Part 2. Don't know. I'm completely amazed by the feedback about just the response to it has been just nothing but positive. I've had some inspiring stuff sent through from people I don't even know, saying, oh my God, you were an inspiration to many. Thank you so much for sharing your story, or thank you for changing my views. Just amazing feedback. I wish, I've got goosebumps saying it, and it's been the most amazing ride. And I really want to continue this journey to more positive. Saving lives will be something that I'll be like, if I hear someone, oh my God, you saved my life, and I'll be going, oh my God, that is my ultimate dream. Of changing people's perceptions, helping people through this. It's just amazing. I wish I can, and I'm not perfect, and I never claimed to be, so it's been amazing feedback, and I really hope you do enjoy the book.
For anybody watching this video, where can they pick up your book from? Okay,
they can go onto my blog at www.ohmygodamiright.blogspot.com. So it's got the information on there, and they can purchase it either on PayPal, through PayPal, or direct deposit, which is you can. The details will be on the blog. I need a lover. I really I long for love. I really want to be able to continue my relationship with my son, and I would really be there for him as his father figure. Not just the father figure, he's also my best friend. So he understands Dad, and that's the main thing. I want to continue that into his adulthood. I want to be able to travel the world with the story. I hope I get on Ellen. Ellen's been an idol of mine since many years. I love her, and I'm sure that's my dream is to go onto her show. And I want to thank every media, Steph as well. You've been a great support. I love you, and I'm sure we'll continue our little journey. But really, I just want to continue the journey and get my story out there to the world. And I do have plans to have that in Arabic and sent it on to the Middle East.
Thank you
so much, Steph. Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you.
See you, Steph. Hi, I'm Michael El-Bacha. I'm here with Steph for the Good
News Project.
Love you, Steph. Newsweek, Steph.
Go inside, come on. He's breathing so heavily.
He's looking at me like...
Why are you?
Well, I like that answer.
Kylie. When you came out to your...
They can edit that.